Greetings! Welcome to another episode of Bahamian Banter with the Social Thinker. And I have an incredible guest today, a friend, and I'm so privileged to have been able to work closely with her within the last few years. None other than Bridell, Cargill, hyphenated, Sweeting. How you doing?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Thank you so much for making time today. This is a big Monday, and this also is the day she was born.
Yes.
So she given me so much of her life today, literally.
Yeah.
Tell us, what do you enjoy about being a mom?
Oh, okay. To be honest, being a mother is so rewarding and challenging at the same time. And I am kind of a performative person. Mm-hmm. So I like challenges. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of embrace challenges. I embrace the suck of, the days when everything is crazy and chaotic and it just seems like I can't get out of my own way. Mm-hmm. But I think the most enjoyable part of being a mother is just the love. Like there's something about 5 human beings loving on you unconditionally.
5 human boys, by the way.
5.
Just want to put that out there. What are their ages?
So the oldest is 8. Then I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
Wow.
I know.
Busy. And you are beautifully married as well.
Yes.
Shout out to Mr. Sweeting for letting me steal her away. Because he holding on the fort with 5 boys right now.
Yes, he is.
How did you guys meet?
Oh, so...
I never asked you this, so I really actually don't know.
Okay, so 10 years ago, because it was our 10th year together, I was in a relationship that just wasn't good for me.
Oh, the tea, honey, the tea.
And my friend said, you need to leave that guy. And I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of, a little caught up. And she said, her exact words was, I have a nice guy looking for a nice girl to do nice things for. Hold on.
Anybody else out there have a nice guy looking for a nice girl to do nice things for? Anyway.
So she introduced us, and at first I was a bit hesitant because I was in a relationship that wasn't good for me. And we met and we were just stuck together like glue 10 years ago, literally.
And that's it. It was like kismet. It felt like that was your person.
Literally, from day one.
Do you feel like a huge part of letting go of something that isn't good for you is contingent to you seeing physically in front of you what is the better or what is a future for you? Like, do you think you would have been able to let go and not really know what was next?
To be honest, I actually regret moving from one relationship to another, like without taking time in between to heal. Mm-hmm. It worked out for my good, but I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest leaving something that isn't good for you and then taking time to learn yourself, to invest into your healing and your personal development, because I had to learn me in our relationship while building a family, while having children, while starting businesses. And that's difficult to navigate. Like, who am I with all of these different components being added so quickly?
Wow, that is a very good point. Like, I didn't even think of it, because sometimes people are willing to leave spaces when they see a new space is available.
Yes.
But I like that. Take the time to heal. Speaking of all these businesses that you have and being able to be a mom and a wife, what are some of the businesses the Sweetings have? What do you guys do?
Okay. So over the last 10 years, we've done a lot of things. We're registered farmers. We started a farm back in 2018, but that didn't work.
Listen, I didn't know this.
Really?
Okay, yeah. I did not know this.
So we moved, packed up everything and went to Eleuthera. We have 16 acres of land in Eleuthera.
Hi, hello. I had no idea.
Oceanfront land at that.
That is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. So we started a farm in 2018 and the pandemic stopped that. Mm-hmm. So we moved back to Nassau, and then I used to do video editing, flyers, brochures,
and you're
websites.
really good at it.
Thank you.
I see what you do for you guys. Beautiful professional work.
That is actually a business that I've recently ceased. And I've been doing that from 2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess the amount of time though that you have to put into it, because you don't do half jobs.
No.
You do the full thing.
It is quite time consuming. We have a hot sauce company called Sweet and Heat. That's something that I've also put on the back burner.
No. That's just so incredible.
And then
I feel like I've seen that. Pause. I think I've seen that bottle.
Possibly it's a black bottle. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Okay.
But
No, I think I did it. Is a cork the cover?
No, it is not a cork.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a business that we're still operating. It's called 700 Reasons.
Yes.
And it's a travel concierge company. We specialize in travel concierge and ground transportation. So we do luxury services where we plan your vacation for you. We create custom and bespoke itineraries. And then we also handle all of your transportation, whether it be air, land, or sea.
Which is how we met.
Yes.
Their luxury company has helped a lot with different clients I've had, and the service, the care, I could just tell, you could tell when you're working with a boss, and you could also tell when you're working with a boss couple. And that happened to be the beautiful experience I was able to have with you guys. And I love that it's Bahamian owned.
Yeah.
But continue.
Yeah. So 700 Reasons is actually the only business that we've brought into 2025. Everything else we've either ceased completely or put on the back burner, just because I've learned recently, just because you could do it all doesn't mean you should.
Ooh, we've talked about this before too.
Yes, like
how difficult was it for you to make that decision? Because you loved your hands in so many pots.
It was a difficult experience to like understand that I can possibly handle doing so many things and doing them well, but what I realized that I was sacrificing is the presence that I wanted to have with my children. So I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mother, meaning my children are with me all day. And there would be a lot of times where I'm on calls, or I'm sending out emails, and I would realize that, okay, this could be time that I'm investing into being present with them, and I'm not doing that. So I kind of had to make a decision on what's more important to me, whether it be, my time with them, or trying to be the boss and climbing the invisible ladder that I was climbing, and I chose them. How
difficult is it to be a stay-at-home mom and you're teaching 5 boys? Well, 4 right now. I mean, the 5-month-old, he can be a genius because he can be around a bunch of smart children. But how do you create their schedule, their plan?
So 2 of my 5 children are on the spectrum. 2 are special needs, my 2-year-old and my 3-year-old. Which creates a very challenging dynamic sometimes, just due to the fact that they're still pretty young. They're in that toddler phase. So communication would then already be difficult for them in a normal environment.
Right.
So the being on the spectrum heightens that. And just finding ways to relate to them and communicate with them is difficult. When it comes to planning my schedule, so prior to the school year, I would plan out whatever lessons for whatever appropriate grade they have. I put it in a document and then I follow it week by week. I try to be creative, and we don't school all day. We school for 2 hours a day. And then literally the rest of the day, we're on the park, we're outside riding scooters, we're doing experiments.
Socialize. Yeah. Social skills are so important.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't quite like the way the traditional school system is built. I feel like it's built to create workers, and which is good. Some people are workers, but not everyone is.
Yeah.
So what about the people that aren't, inherently workers? What about the people that are built to be creatives, built to be CEOs, entrepreneurs? Do you have a system created for them? So these are the things that I've considered. And everyone says that, I want my child to be this and I want my child to be that, but I want my children to be themselves. And I feel like I'm creating an environment where they can discover what that is.
And thrive in it.
Exactly.
I think it's a certain kind of courage and bravery you have that kind of structure, because you don't have a community of moms that are doing that.
Yeah.
You are your community, essentially. Yeah. There are moms that are doing homeschooling. We
are a part of the Bahamas Homeschool Association, and they do have events, but it's not as often. I was just going to say it's not,
because I do have I just call her my little niece, but they would do little stuff, but I still didn't feel like it was as involved as it could be.
Yeah.
Because it could be, parks are open all the time. It could be beach dates that y'all do, but maybe you'd be the person to trailblaze that and create something.
Maybe,
and even if you aren't, your kids are benefiting from your presence and from you helping them.
Yeah.
So you do this homeschooling. Essentially, you're a teacher.
Yeah.
When do you make time for because I know of recent, you've always been, but of recent, you've really just gone into your own spiritual journey.
Yeah.
When do you make time for that spiritual guidance with you and God?
So I have this thing where I'm a retired procrastinator, retired, because I have something called executive dysfunction. When I have a lot of stuff to do, it's very easy for me to do nothing. So I've been reading this book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've seen the book when you posted it.
I'm not completed, but when I'm done, please read that.
Okay.
So it's just about making small incremental changes in your habits that then snowball into life changes. And for me, what I do every morning is non-negotiable. I get up, I do my hygiene, I make my bed, and then I write in my prayer journal and I read my Bible and talk to God. if my day doesn't start with those three things,
It's be topsy-turvy.
oh my God.
No, I feel you. I 100% have the
And
same
when I say
thing.
non-negotiable, I mean, I don't care what curveballs are thrown my way. I have to some way, somehow figure out how to squeeze those things in because I need them. They're like my foundation.
Yeah.
The hygiene and self-care is me pouring into me and
Correct.
making my bed is some type of organization in my...
Of how to start a day.
And
Yeah.
my world is chaotic some days, so it just feels like this is an organized space.
This is what I can control.
Control.
That's
And
discipline.
yeah.
Throughout my conversation with you, I've seen a continued characteristic of discipline.
Yeah.
Have you always been this disciplined, or this is something that one you was either forced into because of being an entrepreneur or because being a mom or married? When did this discipline really take place?
In the 11th grade, I realized I had a very rough upbringing, and I moved into my father's house from my mother's house in the 11th grade due to some very hard circumstances at my mom's. And at that point, I realized my GPA wasn't what I needed it to be. But I really wanted to go off to college to be a psychiatrist. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do something to get myself to the GPA where I can get a scholarship, because naturally my family wouldn't be able to afford college education.
Right.
So I decided to plan a schedule that I would study each subject every single day, even if I wasn't having a test. So I created a schedule for me. Let's say Monday is math, Tuesday is English, and I studied every single day of the year. While I was able to pull up my GPA, I ended up with a cumulative of a 3.98. I'm sorry, a 2.98.
Oh.
2.98. So if you know anything about scholarships, they look at 3.0 and above.
Yeah, they don't look at nothing else.
Nothing below a 3.0. 2.98 was my cumulative GPA. So I was a bit too late.
Yeah.
I was too late. I pulled up my socks a bit too late.
Wow. Yeah.
And while I did got partial scholarships, no one gave me a full ride, and I couldn't afford anything else. So I had to sacrifice that dream of mine, and I started to work in the hotel industry. I did kind of flop with my discipline through my journey in the hotel industry because I lacked direction. I didn't know where to go from there. I didn't go off to college, so who am I? What am I going to do? But when I became a mother, I felt like it was time for me to pull up my socks and try to focus.
It was your duty now.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
People were relying on me to be disciplined.
Who didn't ask to be here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that I really honed in on discipline over the last maybe 3 to 4 years when I realized that, oh, it's a lot of y'all. And if I don't have discipline, this is going to be crazy. So I think motherhood has pulled it out of me, but it's something that I established when I was in one of the roughest times in my life when I was growing up.
And I think in hearing the way you went through discipline, it's good to know when you not failed yourself, but when you weren't your best self.
Yes.
Because you were able to bring up your GPA at that last second, which means if you were running the race adequately,
oh my God,
it would have, but no regrets in that. You now are able to talk to younger ones or younger women. You're able to be, the ears and eyes for your kids, for them to understand, hey, if you don't do this don't work out. And mommy and daddy could still only push you so far. You still got to learn how to swim and kick on your own. And that is where I feel today's society, where people let down on themselves, they recognize that they could change, but they'd be like, but why? Why do it now if I've been doing this for so long? Because it could be better.
Exactly.
And I'm all for it. I'm all for being better. And that's why I love having friendships with people like you. I look at the way you navigate life. And when, you're transparent and honest with persons you feel you could be that way with, but it's so helpful to me to hear that you jump into a space not knowing how it was going to work out, but you were disciplined enough to commit to it and be a fantastic mommy, a fantastic wife, an entrepreneur. I had no idea you had a farm. You know what kind of patience and discipline you need to have a farm? I'm sick. And in hindsight of all that, to still carry yourself with grace, humility, and want to help people and not be judgmental. How have you decided to be that person despite what you came from? We don't have to touch on it too much if you don't want to, but your childhood it was a little bit
rocky. My mother, she taught me what she knew. Like, she loved me to the capacity in which she knew how to love. And she also came from a situation where the love wasn't abundant for her either. So I do extend her a lot of grace, especially being an adult now and understanding how dynamic it is to be a mother. But the choices that she made when I was being raised negatively affected me. And it just really made me have a general distress for people, just because a lot of times I was placed in situations where I wasn't taken care of correctly, and people would abuse me in multiple different ways. And one thing she always did was try to instill values in me. So it kind of was contradictory growing up, seeing someone do the opposite of what they tell you to do. Like, I'm telling you to be reserved and gracious and patient, but I'm watching you do other things. So I was a bit confused for a few years on what path to take. But I think what really kept me grounded was my relationship with God. I gave my life to Christ when I was 12 years old.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
There was always a voice guiding me every step of the way, telling me, no, you shouldn't, no, you should, this way, that way. And many times I didn't listen to the voice, but the moments when I did, I always noticed that I always felt safe, I always felt protected, and I always felt like this is the one voice I can trust.
Beautiful.
So that was my faith is kind of the foundation of who I am. I live my life to please God. And my husband can tell you, baby, either you coming with me or I'm going to leave you behind. I'm going to leave you behind. Like, I live my life to please God. It is the basis of who I am.
I always think of a scripture in the Bible that talks about as women, as single women, we're under the perfect headship of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And when we get married, we have now given that right over to our husbands. What do you say? What advice would you give to persons that are on a journey of being under Christ's headship, but they want to be married? They want to date, and they are the pool of dating. You haven't been up there in a while.
Yeah, I haven't.
And good for you. And honestly, I've been fortunate enough to experience true love in such a raw form, but unfortunately it wasn't able to come to fruition due to his untimely death. But with that being said, I know what it is to be under the most loving and good and kindness. But the difficulty of that being replicated or seeing that again is so narrow. But what would you say to those who are on that journey? They are under the headship right now of Jesus Christ. They're able to see and live by his principles and see how it benefits them. But they want a boyfriend. They want to be married. And not necessarily those men have the same, I wouldn't say desire. I would say they grew up in environments that did not channel that in them. What would you say?
I would firstly encourage any young woman or women on the whole that are interested in dating but are so adamant about making sure that that person is underneath the covering of Christ to not compromise. Do not compromise. Do not compromise. I know that we're in an era of social media where it creates a perfect environment to covet and look at what other people have and want it. But you have to understand that our God is so intentional with everything that he does. There's no mistakes that he makes, and our paths are so well laid out for us. And rushing into a situation that just isn't good for you is going to, I wouldn't say it will stop you, but it probably will throw you off your path for a moment. And it'll cost you unnecessary heartbreak and pain that you don't need. I would say wait on the Lord. He literally will put the right person in your path at the right time. And in the meantime, learn you know, heal from the things that you may have been burying for a few years. Find out what do you like to do other than, you know, in your walk. Like, who are you as a person? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What makes you tick? What are your triggers? How can you heal from those triggers? Like, what do you want to do for a career? How are you going to give back in this world? Because our purpose of being here is to help others, to please God and help other people.
Agreed. That's simple.
Pleasing God is good, but what are you doing for other people?
Yeah. And that happiness that you get from helping people, and that genuine help. Not that help where you're doing it for the gram or you're doing it for some type of social media platform. It's that help that when you sleep at night, you're so good with you. You don't have disquieting thoughts. At least not about what you do to others. You may have, you know, disquieting thoughts for self, but I'm super appreciative that I was able to be raised and see the benefit of two evenly yoked people, because I know from my friendship circle or from conversations I've had, when one is with God and one is with not,
that is difficult.
It is. And honestly, the physical eye is so deep and the spiritual eye is so deep, because physical, you only allowed to see this. But the spiritual, you get to see who created this. And that allows you to not only make beneficial choices, but choices that benefit everybody. So incorporating that into your professional life, we don't get to choose, money ain't got no face. So you don't really get to choose the kind of people you work with. How do you discern what partners and vendors or companies you work with?
I don't pursue anything that seems to be too difficult. Like, I thoroughly believe that rejection is protection.
Yeah.
Like, God says no for your protection.
Yes.
If you're so adamant about being to a certain table or being in a certain room or connecting with a certain person, and everything you do to try to make that happen does not work out,
That's a protection.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, dying for you.
That is not for you. The 9 times out of 10, if you force it, you're going to learn exactly why it didn't work out the first time. Also, I ask God to bring me people that he wants me to touch in ways that he wants me to touch them. Like, I literally live my life based upon being a vessel, him being the porter, forming me with his hands, and I only want to do what he wants me to do. Because anything else is worthless. It's pointless.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. My dad and I were talking about this recently, and he was like, Malak, he got this contract in front of him, and he said, the negotiation with this is so difficult. I feel like I hitting down the door, and God told me, ask and I'll open it.
And the door will open.
And he said the most powerful thing that I didn't think of. He said, and when someone opens a door for you, it means they're waiting on you.
Yes.
I said, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. Yeah. So when we bombing down these doors, that ain't the door God waiting on you to enter.
You will never have
don't want you to do that. Yeah.
You will never have. There's a gentleman, the creator of heaven and earth, waiting on the other side of every door that's for you.
Yeah. And what's beautiful is no matter what your enemies do, no matter what they say, they can't lock that door.
No, they cannot.
Oh my goodness.
The only thing they can do is try to convince you that ain't the door.
That it ain't yours. Yeah. Right. And so that's powerful that you applied your spirituality throughout all facets of your life. And that's really the foundation I've found to my success. Yeah. I've seen how it benefits you. I have some good friends. But it's hard because we live in a world where, God is choice. Yeah. You want to worship, and it should be, because that's how he created us. He wanted us to decide whether or not we want to be his friend or not. Yeah. Similar to us being able to choose our own friends. What advice would you give to someone that isn't sure if that's for them? I think that's for me. God, Christianity, I ain't into that.
Just try him. Like, worst case scenario, he is not who you think he is. Worst case scenario, it doesn't pan out. He doesn't work out, and he doesn't turn out to be who you think it is. But try him. Yeah. Give him a try. At best, you create a relationship with the creator of heaven and earth.
That's so true. That's so true.
I would say try him, because people like to say, I'll try everything once. You mean drugs, alcohol, anything that has
they ain't gonna try that.
But you can try God?
Ooh, yeah. And I will say it is very difficult to try or establish a relationship with them because of false religion, because of false prophets. So I don't want to negate that struggle isn't real.
It is.
But just because we sometimes find counterfeit money, that don't mean we stop using it.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Just because sometimes people make false passport, that don't stop you from traveling. So at the end of the day, life has to have balance. Yeah. There is false to truth. Yeah. That's just how it is. But by studying, you discover truth. Yes. And that draws you closer to the one who make you and me. Yeah. There's so much beauty to that.
Why wouldn't you want to be connected to the person who made you?
Yeah. Yeah, and there may be examples in your life of where you thought those people were Christians and they should have protected you and they didn't. Understandably.
They're not God.
No.
And all of us are flawed. We all have things in our life that we do that we're not proud of, and we make mistakes and we misrepresent God. Don't let someone's misrepresentation of the perfect one keep you away from a relationship with him.
That's so special. It really is. I don't know what I did to deserve to meet you. And at the time I met you, and it's really special to me because you had no idea what was going on in my life and what changes were made. Yeah. But that was one way of which I saw God's kindness, because sometimes you're in so much pain, you don't get a chance to really pray about your pain because you're just in it. Yeah. And I'm so grateful that I got to meet you. I'm so grateful that we made time to talk. I'm grateful that you were transparent with me. It allowed me to be transparent with you. And I wish people knew how easy it is to be kind. Yeah. And so easy to strike up a conversation with people. Yeah. You don't have to be like, I wonder if she'd try. And trying is what got us here. Yeah. And now I get to have this forever, and I hope that you guys from the podcast that Bahamian Banter produces, because my whole thing about the podcast was I wanted all walks of Bahamian who were successful, who had moments of unsuccessfulness, just that journey and the difficulty of doing all of that in the Bahamas, because everything to me on the island is 10 times harder.
It is.
It's harder to get the agriculture for them to get that land.
Yes.
That wasn't an easy feat.
No.
And then for them to have to go through it during COVID, that was 20 times harder.
Exactly.
Those are things that usually in America, there are so many avenues of getting out where it wouldn't necessarily scar you for an eternity. But things like that in the Bahamas, it does.
Yeah.
So I love when I get to have a platform with persons like you, especially because I know you're busy.
Yeah.
And your time is so special to me. But I hope you have a beautiful day. This is your day.
Thank you.
And in thinking of all the things that you were able to accomplish throughout your, I could say your age? Okay. Throughout your 31, honey.
Yeah.
31 years of life. That's 3 decades.
Yes.
Is there anything you would tell your 20-year-old self? Because 20 is when we really talk to this woman and man and things.
I was grown at 20.
Yeah. So what would you tell your 20-year-old self today?
So recently, I made a shift in my entire career. I have my business 700 Reasons. That's something that I do with my husband. But as of January 30th of this month, I am going back to school online. And I am
congratulations! And you're going to study what?
I'm going to study to be a psychiatrist.
Yes! Oh my goodness! Oh, I love that. That is such great news.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So it's just, I love helping people. I love using my words and the way I can communicate to help people navigate themselves out of particular situations. And it's literally the thing that I worked so hard for in grade 11 that didn't pan out for me.
But this is such a good time now.
Yes, it is. I feel like this is a perfect time.
Yeah, to walk in your purpose.
Yes, it is. So I just want to leave everyone with the knowledge that God is good. He makes no mistakes and he's faithful. And it doesn't matter if you feel like you're at a place in your life where you shouldn't be. You are exactly where God wants you to be in this very moment. Like, embrace everything that you're going through. Work on who you are. Work on developing your spiritual, your emotional health, your physical well-being. Work on you. And then please zero in on your relationship with God so that he can direct your path. And even if whatever you think you should be doing with your life hasn't come to pass just yet, just wait on the Lord. Like, wait on him.
I love that. And as always, stay safe. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Bahamian Banter. Share it with your friends, your family. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.